like now to introduce you to hear a few words from the lady that was the creator of Orange Shirt Day and the founder of the Orange Shirt Society. Please help me welcome Phyllis Webstad. Phyllis, come on up.
Wade Kuchwaidab, Phyllis Webstad Rensquest, Stracham Chatlam Stakwan. Hello to everyone. I'm Phyllis Webstad. I'm from the Canoe Creek Dog Creek First Nation, and I am Shawetmch or Shuswap, located about an hour and a half from Williams Lake. I just finished presenting to the city of Mississauga, so I just met the mayor of Mississauga, so I'm still kind of coming down from that. It takes a while after I present to actually be okay again. So I just finished, and so everything is here and raw. I'm a third generation Indian residential school survivor, and what that means is Granny was the first generation to attend from 1925 to 1935. All of her 10 children, including my mother, attended. My mother from 1954 to 1964. Granny's eldest grandchild attended, and I attended from 1973-74. So 3 generations of our family attended the St. Joseph Indian Residential School outside of Williams Lake, BC. And unbeknownst to me until 1997 or 2007, when the federal government gave out monies, my son was at the last operating residential school in Canada when it closed in Saskatchewan in 1996. I lived with my grandmother on the Dog Creek Reserve until I was 6, and I'd always wondered, why did Granny send me to residential school? She wouldn't have been put in jail like she would have been with her children, and as my grandfather often was for not sending his children. And I always thought it must have been my decision. But when my grandson turned 6, I looked at him and thought, no, there's no way a 6-year-old child could make that decision. And I realized that Granny did what she had always done. It was the thing to do. So when I turned 6, she got me ready for school. And so I went to town, we went to town. She got my cousin and I something new to wear, even though she knew it would be taken away. She always wanted us to be presented in the best possible way. And so I chose a shiny new orange shirt for my first day of school, and it was taken when we got there. And that's the story that I told when the TRC came to Williams Lake in May of 2013. And has grown into what it is today. And truth comes before reconciliation. The truth is not yet fully told. And I commend the BC Lions for the work that you're doing. I was reminiscing in 2018 when my first book came out. I was touring elementary and high schools. And now it's moved to government and corporates and hockey and football and baseball, and everybody's taking part, and that's what's needed on this path of reconciliation in Canada. And with that, the truth can continue to be told. There were 150,000 children taken from their homes and their families across Canada. They all have a story, so my story is not unique. They and their families have a story, and through football, it'll create conversation on September 30th when everybody comes and receives their orange shirt, and a survivor may even tell their story for the first time, because it's not something we talk about a lot voluntarily. So Gugshjem, thank you for the BC Lions for the work that you do. George, Jamie, that I've come to know, and continue to do what you're doing, and hopefully I can be more a part of it. I hear you had a summer camp this summer, and I wasn't aware of that. Maybe I was. With all the emails, I've given up on emails basically right now. So anyway, good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Phyllis. Yeah, Phyllis is referring to our Indigenous youth program that we launched this year, working with Indigenous youth, and that's something that we're going to continue for the next 2 years, and Jamie will talk a little bit more about that later. But talking about September 30th now, that's going to be a special day when we're going to be giving away 10,000 orange t-shirts to the first 10,000 fans at the game. Fans will see our Indigenous logo that our players will be wearing on the sides of their helmets to my left, as well as a special halftime show from the 3 host nations, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. Our BC Lions will be wearing orange tape, which in football terms we call orange batting, and what's unique about this also is that the Ottawa Red Blacks will be wearing orange to commemorate Orange Shirt Day as well. So when I talk about sport transforming barriers, I think this is a great testament to the whole Canadian Football League and its member clubs doing what they can to promote awareness around truth and reconciliation and National Orange Shirt Day as well. We'll also be making a $20,000 donation to the Orange Shirt Society at halftime on behalf of our BC Lions and our partners. And we can't make the BC Lions Orange Shirt Day and our Indigenous Youth Program happen without the support of our partners. And you know, I'm pleased that I'm going to be able to introduce some of our partners that are here today that help make our programs come to life. Representing Prospera Credit Union, we're joined by Michelle Gagne and TJ Smaltz, and I'd like to call up TJ Smaltz to say a few words. He's the Chief People and Legal Officer for Prospera Credit Union. So TJ. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, George, and thank you very much, Phyllis, also for sharing with us today. It's an absolute privilege and honor to be here on behalf of everyone at Prospera Credit Union. Our team at Prospera is deeply committed to broadening our understanding of Indigenous history and supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion across our organization, as well as within all of the communities in which we live, work, and play. As part of our journey, we're proud to partner with the BC Lions, an esteemed leader in the community, to bring a football program to Indigenous youth, as well as helping to raise awareness for truth and reconciliation at Orange Shirt Day game on September 30th. So Prospera will be closed on the 30th in honor of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And we'll use that time for our staff to gather together and focus on learning with an Indigenous educator and human rights champion, have discussions with our colleagues about this important topic, and set time aside for some personal reflection as well. Later that day, we'll proudly host Indigenous guests at the BC Lions game, where many of our employees are also going to be volunteering and distributing orange shirts to eager BC Lions fans. Now, giving back to our communities is at the heart of what Prospera does. We call it local good. And with our partnership with the BC Lions, we're so excited to engage in more local good across BC and with our favorite sports team, the BC Lions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, TJ. Also joining us here today, I'd like to acknowledge we have one other presenting sponsor, actually, BC Hydro, that was unable to join us today, but we're joined by our supporting partners also that are here today that I'd like to acknowledge. And please give me a welcome to Samantha Singbeal, Lauren Lee, and Janet Devaney from Fortis, BC. We've got Bradley Gunlickson and Stefan Lacombe from Pomerlau Construction. And we've got John Mutis and Luke O'Brien from Levitt Machinery. So thank you to all of our supporting partners and for your partnership with the BC Lions around our Orange Shirt Day and Indigenous Youth Program. I'd like to give a big round of applause to our partners. So, you know, I also, when I talk about our Indigenous Youth Program and the work that we do in the communities, one of the pillars of our brand is to help build better communities around British Columbia. And a longtime partner of ours has been instrumental in doing that through our Be More Than a Bystander program. I'd like to give a special welcome to the Executive Director of the Ending Violence Association of British Columbia, Nina King, who's joining us here today as also. Thank you, Nina. So for giving us a little more detail now around our Orange Shirt Day and our Indigenous Youth Program and some of the other things that will be happening on September 30th. I'd like to call up our Director of Community Partnerships, Jamie Taras. Jamie, come on up.
Welcome everyone. As George mentioned, I'm going to give you a little bit more detail on the Indigenous Youth Program. Really was an extension of what we did last year with our Orange Shirt Day game. Our group got together, our management team, and said, what more could we do? How could we engage with the Indigenous community further? And we came up with the concept of an Indigenous Youth Program, where we invited 4 different communities to participate in a flag football tournament. So our players acted as coaches. They coached them over 3 or 4 weeks, and then we had a flag tournament here in Surrey, which wasn't supposed to be competitive, but as you can imagine, when our players got involved, it was an awful lot of fun and did indeed. And Nathan Rourke will tell you that his team did win the tournament. Those communities were the Musqueam, Sumas and Squaw Nations in the Valley, and then 2 school communities, Frank Hurt here in Surrey and Britannia in Vancouver. And many of these kids had never played football before in their lives, so for them it was a real learning experience. And I think, as always, when you give back to the community, our players probably got more out of this than the kids ever did. We also did a workshop, a sort of Skills for Life workshop for the youth at Creekside Community Center. So it was a really robust off-season for our players, and we really look forward to continuing this program in the future. So back to the Orange Shirt Day game. A couple of things new for 2022. We are going to be launching an Indigenous marketplace at the game this year. So we will have Indigenous entrepreneurs setting up on the concourse at BC Place, showcasing their goods and their wares, and being able to sell those items in BC Place. So, and that opportunity will be distributed through our advisory committee and the host nations, as well as Métis Nation BC. So we're very excited about that. Also, one of the themes that came up in our conversations with the advisory committee is sort of to change things up this year, looking at the theme of sport is medicine, and how survivors and elders dealt with some of the adversity that they faced through sport. And so we're going to showcase that theme in the game, and we will highlight some of the elders in video vignettes, as well as some up-and-coming Indigenous athletes. The last thing that we're going to do is we, as George mentioned, it was a real run to the finish line last year. This year we've had more time. We've got an expanded merch line. Some of that is showcased here with hoodies and toques and those sort of things that we're going to sell, as well as some novelty items with our beautiful logo designed by Indigenous artist Corrine Hunt. And so that's great, and it's important for everyone to know that 100% of the net proceeds will go back to the Orange Shirt Society, the IRSSS, Indigenous Residential School Survivor Society, and as well as provide opportunities for survivors and their families to come out and see a BC Lions football game. So we're very proud of that. And so we've got lots of new things happening. One of the other things that was very important to the committee was to make sure that we made it easy for the elders and survivors to come to the game. BC Place is a big place, so that's one of the things we're really focusing on, just things like getting them their t-shirts and their food vouchers early beforehand, so they don't have to line up in line, making sure we put them in seats where they don't have to walk up a whole bunch of stairs. So just some of those little things to make sure that we truly honor that group, and that that it is a wonderful, fulfilling experience for them at the game. So those are some of the things to look forward to on September 30th. Great to be involved, and I'll turn it back over to George.